Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is Sarah Shazad. Welcome to CxO TV, where innovation meets ideas for growth via our knowledge sharing platform, CxO Global Forum. Joining us today, Mr. Mustafa Ramzan, Digital Finance Consultant. Very good evening, Mr. Mustafa. How are you today?
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. I'm
Islam.
fine.
First of all, welcome to our show today, Mr. Mustafa. We would like to, first of all, know that how is your transition from employment to entrepreneurship?
Okay, a good question. Thank you very much for having me. I
Thank you
think
very much.
I got into it because of boredom with the corporate sector.
Okay. Okay.
And my journey started with studying overseas, doing short courses in the same space of financial inclusion. So
All
I
right.
started going to US to attend programs at various think tanks. And then I also went to campus at a university in Boston.
Okay.
Yep. So that's how I got into it. Got my first project with Pakistan Microfinance Investment Corporation.
All
Worked
right.
on the digital finance strategy for the microfinance sector. Then I was approached by Karandas. They wanted to understand the efficacy of the researches that they had done. So this
All
was one
right.
of the tough questions they were facing after the strategic review. This was like 2.5, 3 years post their existence.
Okay.
So these couple of projects actually pushed me kind of deeper into the space. And then World Bank has been running this program called FISIF, Financial Inclusion Support Program framework, which they
Okay.
ran in 8 countries. And I happen to, whatever we are seeing in terms of national payment system strategy or the creation of PCGC or PMRC, Women Financial Inclusion, National Financial Inclusion Strategy and Secretariat, all of that kind of, stemmed from the advisory and analytics
Okay.
and the support that came from World Bank. So I happened to be part of the team that did the monitoring and evaluation of the said program, post program, of course.
All right.
So these are some of the key highlights. But apart from digital finance, I also consult in the arena of brand management,
Okay.
which is what I was before I got into the digital finance space 10 years ago.
All right.
Uh, since my days with Easy Pesa. Prior to that, I was leading the Telenor brand portfolio, और उससे पहले I was with British Maritime Tobacco.
All right. Okay. Great. Great to know that. So, Mr. Mustafa, what is the future and evolution of fintech in Pakistan?
I think as one can see, future is very bright. Pakistan is a large country
Agree.
with more than 80% unbanked. And even those who are banked, they have wallets, but in terms of making payments or getting digital loans, there is still a long way to go. So as we can see, after National State Bank of Pakistan rolled out National Payment System Strategy, they have been very aggressive in terms of rolling out EMI, PSO, PSP, regulatory frameworks. Uh, Courtesy SCCP, we have NBFC licensing regime. So we are seeing a plethora of fintechs, entering the digital finance space, and it will only get better in the coming days. So this is just the, जिसे वो कहते हैं ना अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है.
Ji, sahi, sahi. So, how far out are we from fintech development in Pakistan in comparison to the global development?
Well, as a developing country, we definitely lag behind, as is reflected in the financial inclusion
Absolutely.
indicators. But as they say, in every threat, there is an opportunity.
True.
So VCs are taking bets on Pakistani founders and Pakistani talent. It's best in class. And most of the Pakistanis, uh, the VCs are placing bets on them. The ex-Kareem mafia is there. So, yep, I think the outlook is very, very, very bright.
Okay, so you think that we will reach that goal sooner, or we are
I would,
evolving day by day?
if we look at our performance, our progress in the last 10 years. So, for example, what happened in the last 10 years was the birth of microfinance. Was a massive growth seen in microfinance, and but as per certain studies, uh, the demand of microfinance being met is not more than 25%. So there is
Okay.
huge untapped microfinance potential. But then we saw 2008 onwards the ruling out of branchless banking by the state
Mhm.
bank, the regulatory regime, and we saw telcos and banks,
Yeah,
jump into the scene. So that's what we have achieved. So we have 50 million wallets today. But
true.
when it comes to, we have one of the largest G2P program with the name of ESAS, under the brand name of ESAS. It's one of the largest. So this is what we have achieved. But I think next 10 years, I expect the pace to be. Uh, so if the last 10 years we were moving in an arithmetic manner, I think the next 10 years will be anywhere an average of arithmetic and geometric progression. So
All
that's
right.
where I see the industry going.
Right. So since we are talking about it, so why have we not developed and implemented local payment gateways yet?
Yes, so as a country, we have the large payments gateway, which is the RTGS. But as typically an advanced economy would have a faster payment system, that is something we didn't have in the country. And that is what the gap that was understood by State Bank of Pakistan. And with the support of World Bank and Gates Foundation, there is a vision in place. That's what I would say. I'll choose my words very carefully. At least there is a vision in place, and there is, you can say, एक होता है ना कि पहली सीढ़ी उस विजन की रियलाइजेशन की ये है कि रास्ट पे the couple of use cases in terms of government employees salary disbursements and few others, you know. So that's the first step we have taken as a country. But obviously, this digital backbone, as soon as State Bank is ready, as soon as all the banks and telcos can integrate with it, so more use cases will come into play. So, and eventually we'll get there. I think in the next 10 years or so, 5 to 10 years.
5 to 10 years
Yep.
still, because this is the need of the time.
This is the need of the time. You see, we the documented economy is $300 billion, but there are estimates that almost equivalent of it, or more than that, is undocumented economy. So as we are seeing the massive growth we have seen during COVID of e-commerce, so hence payment gateways have come into play.
Exactly.
NIFT has recently launched their e-payment gateway. So I mean, we are getting there, and COVID, has helped us achieve
A
alone
lot
in
of,
e-commerce what we did in last 10 years, for example. So
exactly.
it's a function of the kind of times we are going through, the how aware the regulator is, the will of the government to digitize Pakistan. So the opportunity is there, and I think there is realization all around us that we need to catch up on this front. I mean, next door, we know what has happened in India in terms of digitization of
Yes.
payments, UPI, Paytm. I mean, all of these stories coming out of India. So generally, there is a comparison being made between Pakistan and Indonesia, that in terms of where we stand today, in terms of untapped potential, that's exactly where Indonesia was a few years ago. So some of the VCs, who are very hot on Pakistan, they project Pakistan to follow the same pattern in terms of digitization of the economy, digitization of the payments, velocity of money coming into play, and eventually people getting more empowered, and economic growth kicking
Exactly.
in, and as a country us making the us making the most of the technology, uh, you know in the fourth
Exactly.
industrial revolution.
Very right, very right. So, what are the key roadblocks in PayPal in Pakistan?
You see, the key, I think we've little gone ahead. uh, I mean, we are moving ahead now, because now we have an enabling regulatory regime
Okay,
from State Bank of Pakistan and SCCP, which will only get better. And
okay,
now it's up to incumbents to come and participate and tap into, build consumer behavior, invest in marketing, build customer centric products, and make the
okay.
most of the opportunity. So, for example, with the rise of e-commerce, we're also seeing a corresponding increase in buy now, pay later fintechs under the NBFC licensing regime.
Okay.
Similarly, with QR, with the spread of QR, and now the unification of QR code
True.
regulation in place, you know, historically, POS network has been restricted to less than 50,000 outlets. I think we should touch at least 2x to 3x of that footprint in the next 12 to 24 months. Although a tall claim is being made that there are 500,000 branchless banking agents, but for for I mean, if one were to apply a sanity check, this number
Okay.
actually is 100 to 150,000. So
All
only
right.
if we can manage to activate these merchants for digital payments, that will be a big achievement in itself.
Absolutely. True.
Lastly, with the again growth of B2B e-commerce entities like the likes of bazaars and tajers and retailers, now there will be an opportunity to lend to the same retailers, as we'll have data on their purchases. So that's where fintechs like Finja and few others have entered the market, and they're extending these short-term loans monthly, and some longer other tenures also. But right now, as per my knowledge, they're doing monthly loans to retailers.
All
So
right.
yeah, so with different use cases being cracked, different market segments are being tapped into. So it will just get better from here onwards.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Uh, as we are trying hard and our departments and teams are working on it. So inshallah we'll reach to that point. So Mr. Mustafa, what's your point of view on open banking solution?
Okay. Open banking, it's API, you're referring to API economy. You see, APIs are basically a technology that allows banks to exchange data with
True.
with other banks and also with non-banking entities.
Very
So
right.
again, for example, if retailer space is growing, is available uh, to be lent to. Similarly, digital payments are being enabled at different merchants. Different kind of payments, be it related to school fee, or
True.
entertainment, or travel. So banks have to integrate with these non-banking entities to enable financial transaction. So again, this is an area where I think some of the banks have done something, some are still working, but it's only a matter of time that the API economy will evolve further, and you know And that's where, the velocity of money will come into play, that economy will go cashless, banks will have more deposits, and so hence they'll be able to lend more, and so on and so
Yeah.
forth.
All right. So, do you think now the youth pursue more entrepreneurship versus jobs, and why is that?
Okay, there are a number of reasons, obviously. Uh,
And you have experienced that.
yeah, so I experienced it not long ago, like just 4 years ago myself.
Okay.
But some of the factors were in my control, some was not so much in my control. But in
True.
terms of youth, yes. I mean, for example, 2016, when I taught a course at a local university as a visiting faculty, so I really had to teach them what digital marketing is. But
Okay.
this was 2016. But come 2020, last year when I taught a course, everyone knew, okay, you can open a page, you open your Facebook page and start selling. So that's what they know. आप एक पोस्ट लगाएं, उस पे 50 से 100 $200 का बूस्ट करें, and you can start selling.
Exactly. True.
So
True.
it can be attributed to the rising penetration of data, then the smartphone penetration, and then the growth of e-commerce.
Exactly.
So the ecosystem creation actually makes one believe that my friend is doing it, so can I. Look at her; she has launched her own series. There's organic, herbal, makeup.
True.
If there is a success story, people would like to. Every other guy would like to do the same. So there is a
Especially in this
herd
pandemic time.
mentality. Sorry.
Especially in this pandemic time, the e-commerce has got a
Exactly.
hit.
Exactly. इसी तरीके से अगर आप देखें कि I mean, Food Panda, for example.
Exactly.
Previously, one will have to get ready, step out, and
True.
eat out. That will be like an occasion in itself, right?
True.
But now you can just through an app. It's an on-demand app. You can order food online. You know.
Exactly.
So and the home chefs are being digitized. So the unbranded industry of restaurants are also able to offer their value proposition to a wider customer base.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. There are different facets to e-commerce, be it lifestyle, be it education, be it travel. For example, previously, if I wanted to travel to Islamabad, I'll call up my travel agent. He'll issue me a ticket. इतने की है सर कर दूं ये महंगी आ रही है ये सस्ती आ रही है now I just go on सस्ता ticket and I just get my ticket within 5 minutes and I just pay through my credit
Exactly.
card. So you see, that's what digitization is kind of permeated our life. Be it food, be it travel, be it education, be it shopping, be it banking. You know,
Be it
and then
healthcare.
this, be it healthcare. So this list will go on, and that's what they say. We are actually in the process of creating a digital twin of our physical existence. So
True.
as we create a digital twin, there will be more data, and the smarter companies will analyze their data, and they'll be able to serve their customers better, through hyper personalization, through gamification, loyalty management, and so that's how
Exactly.
the economy will get digitized, be it B2B or
Exactly.
B2C context, and yeah,
Right.
that's the journey.
So, Mr. Mustafa, if you see in the market today, especially if we talk about Pakistan, the real estate boom in Pakistan is so much these days. I mean, that's the business which is not even getting affected by pandemic. It's throughout on during those times where everybody was just inside, locked up in the house. So, how do you see IoT integrated in it?
देखिए real estate is the growth we are seeing in real estate. is a function of the government policies. Obviously, government has given certain permissions
True.
to investors in terms of, I think, declaring the source of income. So I'm not an expert in that space, but the generally what I hear is that people are able to buy and sell without declaring the source of income. You know,
Yes, that's true.
so that is that. Then government has been in setting targets for banks to lend to. Banks should banks generally in Pakistan, they lend to government. So because of the lack of financial intermediation, they have incentivized banks to lend to people who cannot afford to build their homes. So low cost housing is another major initiative. Then I think government has also set up an authority which kind of validates and certifies a builder. So there is a robust process in place as to how builders bid, and then their projects are supported by government. So
True.
another milestone in that context is the creation of Pakistan Mortgage Refinance Company. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's a function of government policies, and generally, आपको पता है कि हमारे मुल्क में I often say कि पाकिस्तान में दो ही sources of entertainment हैं, या आप खाना खाने बाहर चले जाएं और जब थोड़े से पैसे आ जाएं तो रियल एस्टेट में इन्वेस्ट कर दें. So
Exactly.
as a nation हम थोड़े से टर्न प्रोग्राम है, रिस्क टेकिंग नहीं कर लेते, बिजनेस के अंदर उस तरीके से लोग नहीं आते. People just want to invest in property and then just wait.
We go for tried and tested.
Yes. And then there is definitely a huge demand. I'm not updated on the numbers, but there is, I think, X number of millions of houses needed every year in Pakistan. So that's
Exactly.
why you see the and then people have also, I think in one form or the other taken inspiration from the Beria Town success story, Beria Town, DHA. I'm sure there are other such entities, but top of my head, these are the two I recall, and I think now this is an attractive proposition for investors to build housing societies, build a gated community concept where all the amenities are being made available, because of load shedding and security concerns. So everyone, this is like a Pakistani dream to have your own house.
True. True. Plus, they have a solution. If you talk about Barrier Town, that the budget bracket, everybody has different budget brackets. So they're providing in every brackets. They're
Yes.
giving you the solution in every uh, budget. So, and lastly, Mr. Mustafa, we would like to know that what do you see the utility of being a part of CXO Global Forum?
Well, it's a great set of people, great community, and especially thanks to Kawal, who I think started from scratch, and it's like a big family now. You get to
Exactly.
connect. You get to learn a lot. One gets to learn a lot in terms of what's happening in the country, what's happening in the economy, especially in the
What's
digital
new in the market?
economy.
True.
Exactly. So one learns a lot, one takes inspiration from all the developments, and you connect with the like minded, and it kind of gives you an opportunity to grow as a professional and as a human being. Yep. And I think it will just get better and better
Inshallah.
uh, with the passage of time. And the number of digital summits being held by the CxO Forum. I think that's a great initiative. Similarly, I think Kamal is also trying to do something with the special technology zones. So,
Exactly.
yep,
Yes. We have many
I
things
think
in
it
pipeline.
it cannot get better than that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mustafa, for your valuable time. And inshallah, we'll hope to see you soon again, very soon. Inshallah.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Allah.